I'll just start with the small prayer and then we'll move to the content of the presentation which I intended to talk about. सदाशिवसमारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्परा वन्दे गुरुपरम्परा. A very good afternoon to one and all present here on this online platform. I welcome you all for a small presentation which I intended to present on role of energy in sustainable development. The word sustainable development is very, I would say, new to our domain. And I think from last couple of years, even at India level, we are following these sustainable development goals. And therefore, I thought let me talk on role of energy, which is very relevant to the topic of short-term training programs under Atal FDP, right? So the introduction has already been over. So now let me go to the content. I hope the slides and everything are visible to you. My voice is also clear. So I'll start with the quote from Narendra Modi, right? So if you want the world to be a better place to live, we have to treat it as one unit. If we want economic growth to be pervasive, we have to make people its partner. And if we want the process of development to be sustainable, we have to work with the environment. A beautiful thing which has been said by Narendra Modi, and I just wanted to talk on three aspects which has been underlined over here: the economy, the people, and the environment. I think it is the interaction of this which talks about the framework which I am going to talk about is sustainable development. And that's why I started with the quote from none other than our Prime Minister. Having said that, when I was preparing this slide, I had certain questions in mind, right? So I said that why sustainable development, right? So that is why we require to talk about sustainable development. What is sustainable development? How we can achieve sustainable development? And when we talk about all those sustainable development, do we have any role to play here? And is it a local issue or is it a global issue? And therefore, I talked about the three aspects in my, so I'm going to talk about the three aspects in my presentation, how energy, economics, and environment are going to be impacting the sustainable development and what is its important. Having said that, there is a beautiful book called Start with Why, written by Simon Sinek. And if you see the slide here, there are three concentric circles which has been presented over here. And if you go to the middle of the slide, I would say the center of the slide, it says start with why. Why is very, very important. And why, when you talk about why, it is a purpose. It is a purpose. So when we talk about sustainable development, the purpose defines everything. And if you go and read this book of Start with Why, they said that purpose is very, very important than how and what. What is the process which you are going to do and what is the knowledge stock you are going to get it or defining. If why is very strong, how and what are very easy. And therefore, following that book, I also started understanding if I wanted to talk about any topic, then why should be very, very important. And we should take the why clear. Then if purpose is defined, then how and what will be very easy for the presentation and to be understood also. Having said that, let me show you a beautiful map of the world. This is the place where we all live. And if you see that, a beautiful map has been presented over here. Now, what I'm going to do is Let us see these in terms of cartogram. That means whatever the parameter is there in that parameters, in that contribution, we will be distorting the whole map, right? The countries wise, right? So let us talk about the population first. So if you see the population cartogram, uh, if you see the population cartogram, you will see, yes, we all know that the India and China, the populous country in the world. And that is how the majority of the people live in this part of the world. And we will call that this, we are in Asia, and China and India are in the, I would say, billions, right? Having said that, let's see the another cartogram, which I put it in terms of economy, which is 142 trillion economy. And in that sense, if we see or compare the previous chart, our contribution, so the India and China contribution, or if you see the Africa is almost diminished on the economic part. And you will see the America, Europe, other China. Of course, the India is also now going to talk about the 5 trillion economy, right? So on economic cartogram, there are certain countries in the world where we are not able to see them as far as their contribution to the GDP. So there is another part which I wanted to talk about. Now, when we talk about energy consumption, again, if you talk about the economics and energy consumption, you will see that there is a one point consumption is one of the parameter by which country's economy can be predicted or country's economic strength can be known. So if you see the economics, the which I have shown, so population is something different. Economics, in terms of economics, the cartogram look like different. And when you talk about energy consumption and economics are, I would say, they are certainly in phase with each other. So there is a direct impact of energy consumption and economy, and that's why role of energy and on alternate fuel, I have taken this energy aspect as far as today's topic is concerned. Now, when we consume energy, there is another, or I would say, direct impact, or there are certain indirect impact also on greenhouse gases. And this is now, means from last few decades, this becomes very vital after Kyoto Protocol and Paris Amendment and other things, right? Kaggle amendments. Now, this aspect becomes very essential about the greenhouse gases, and you will see that the economics, energy consumption, and the greenhouse gases, right? They are seem to be in, I would say, uh, you will see a pattern of similarity in three graphs. So that's why I say that energy, economics, and environment, these are three E's which are very correlating to each other. And I think it has means the population is out of phase in that case. So energy, economics, and environment are in phase, but the population seems to be out of phase, and therefore certain disparity occurs in the world. And therefore, if I'll talk about the development part, so I have put these three aspects. One is the primary energy consumption, right? On center, I have put the population, and on the right hand side, I have put the energy emission. I hope you are with me, all of you. Just raise your hand so that I'll say that yes, everybody is with me. Thank you, Mazhar. Yeah. So population. So when you we know that the how the population is growing. But if you see the some pattern, we have slight means decrement in the population, as means percentage of population increase has been shown a slight decline. However, it will be confirmed by census when we do in India, right? Now, if you see that all these three curves are in exponential in nature, and when you talk about exponential growth is not a very sustainable state of affairs. And since it depends on the infinite amount of resources which does not exist on the world, and therefore the concept of sustainability has to be taken into account. And if you see this picture, all three on one side, there is a means on the center you have a population which is also an exponential growth. On other side, you have energy consumption, which is also an exponential. And on the right hand side, you will have a CO2 emission. And therefore, if you are going to make this go, then it becomes infinite. And therefore, to make this infinite growth, it is very, very difficult. And we do not have a resources to feed them. And therefore, this exponential growth are not sustainable. And looking to this as an aspect, I have defined my presentation outline like this. So what is sustainable development? What is the role of energy? What is the role of economics? What is the role of environment? And what are the sustainable development goals in India? How India is defining this? How we are measuring the sustainable development goals, right? And which are the bodies which are Niti Aayog has from last 3 years, and now in December you will have another sustainable development goals report will be released, right? And how we are placing, how Gujarat is placing there. These are the things which we are going to understand that. So we'll start with sustainable development, and then energy, economics, and environmental. And I'll mainly talk on energy aspect, and I'll just touch upon the economics and the environment, and then lastly we'll see some of the slides on sustainable development goals, right? So let's start. So from when it has started and what is sustainable development? So if you see the presentation over here, the slide, the sustainable development is the idea that human society must live and meet their needs without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their needs. So by definition, it is very clear. A sustainable development, that means is to be it is to be long lasting, and our future generation should not curse of us, and it should meet to the demands of the world, right? But how this has started, the way I think if you see the sustainable manufacturing, so the sustainable development world has now become synonym, means it has been used in every works of life. So the official definition of sustainable development was developed from the Brundtland report, and if you see the copy of Brundtland report, I have presented, means the JPG I have put it for you just to understand. Yes, our common future, the World Commission on Environment and Development. The Brundtland report stated that the critical global environment problems were primarily the result of enormous poverty in the South and non-sustainable pattern consumption and production in the North. I think the world was divided into two halves. Of course, geographically also we are having a northern sphere and the southern sphere. But if you see that the Africa, and at that point of time, the all the southern countries, we are not so developed economically, and therefore it has been written in the report that enormous poverty of South and non-sustainable pattern of the consumption and production in the North. And it is called, so to meet this or to bridge this gap, a strategy was formed. So, and that strategy, the name of that strategy is given name Sustainable Development. And if you see that, it is 1987, right? So there, from there, this concept of sustainable development started. And now, if you see the sustainable development, there are three aspects. I would say the social aspect, right? The social, that means the people. I would say we the people, right? So that is a very, very important aspect. So I would compare my social aspect in the sense the people we live, and I already shown that cartogram initially, right? The second aspect is economic. So what the people will do. So whatever the activity people do, it result into some economical value. And the interaction of people and its activity and economy, there is an impact on environment also, so nature also, because we are going to develop certain things, and it will have an impact on environment. So if you have prepared a subset of all three aspects, like social, economic, and environment, the central part is sustainability. And therefore, on the right hand side, I say that on this circle, that these are the sustainable development lies on the pillars of social, environment, and economical aspect. So that is what the whole framework of sustainability was talked about, right? And now in 2000, as in the goal of millennium, so UN adopted the Millennium Development Goals as an outcome of deliverables in UN Millennium Summit on 8 September 2000 as a new vision to the global efforts on development over the next 15 years, right? So if you see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 different goals were defined in the sustainable development. So United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. The future we want paved the way on August 2015. They developed agenda in the Sustainable Development Goals based on three dimensional of the development, namely economical, social, and environment. Now, this is the Millennium Development Goals. And now, if you see, on the basis of the Millennium Development Goal, now for a world, we have 17 different goals encompassed in sustainable development, right? So no poverty and others, which has been mentioned over here, right? So this is the whole basket of sustainable development goals, which has been developed under United Nations framework, and all the countries are the parties to it, right? Having said that, what we are going to talk about. So I have just prepared a background on sustainable development goals. So I am not going to talk on all the 17 sustainable development goals. The whole idea on which I'm going to talk about is energy, which is mentioned at 7, economics, which is mentioned at 8, and 13, which is mentioned at 8, 13, environments. Okay, so energy, economics, and environment. The previously also I have started. So in my background, I already talked about how population, how energy, economics, and environment framing this, the whole world, right? And if you have seen the cartogram very well, then you will see that these are in phase. So there is a direct impact, or I would say direct correlation of energy, economics, and environment, right? Having said that, now I'll start focusing on the title of my presentation, that is role of energy on sustainable development, and other two keys I will be taking later on, right? Are you all with me? Okay, thanks. So let's start with the role of energy and one of the goal mentioned in sustainable development. Now, what is energy then? So a basic, I'll just build on through the basics. Let's say, what is energy? And we all know and we all teach this. Energy is the ability to do work, correct? It is a capacity to do work. So work is a transfer of energy from one form to another one. In practical terms, energy is what we use to manipulate the world around us, whether by exciting our muscles or by electricity or by mechanical devices. That means some order of transformation we are bringing into the with the use of nature to make something which is useful for the mankind as a society. For that, for doing that, we require energy. So how this energy comes to us? So this energy comes to us in two forms, right? So primary energy and secondary energy. That is how we classify them. But if you see that there are thermal source of energy and there are non-thermal source of energy also. So heat is a thermal, light, radiation, mechanical, electrical, chemical, and there are, we classify them or we name in different form, but broadly if we talk about energy, we call them a primary source of energy and the secondary source of energy. Having said that, now what is primary energy? A primary energy which is available at the mother earth, right? So mother earth gives us coal, it gives us nuclear energy, natural gas, petroleum, and then we try to do something on that so that we convert this primary energy into the most apparent useful form like steam, which is a thermal source, and other thermal energy, or we convert them into electricity with the help of power plants, right? So the secondary source of energy is either a thermal source, that is steam, or electricity. So steam and thermal, there are there, and electricity is also there as a secondary source. Now let me take to a world data. Now this is very, very important, and as I mentioned that this I have taken from British Petroleum database, which has been published every year, right? So world primary energy consumption. And if you see my presentation will be talking on this trends only, how this primary energy consumption is taking place, right? If you see in detail, 84% of the primary energy consumption is from oil, coal, and gas. That is how we are using our energy, right? Are you able to see that? So if you see the graph which I have presented over here, right? So 1.3 percentage growth of global primary energy consumption, less than the half the growth rate in 2018. So this is a beautiful picture which I have presented over here, and there is a table also. There is a table also given over here, right? So if you see that the oil, you can see the color where oil is been mentioned over here. If you see the coal, natural gas, and if you see the orange one at the bottom, and you will see that the renewable energy part, right? So on top there are, of course, if you see, when I say that 84% of the primary energy consumption is from oil, coal, and gas, right? So, and you can see the magnitude also on the line. But if you see that there is a decline which we are observing, of course, this decline can be talk in terms of the effect of COVID also, right? But there is a, nevertheless, there is a decline in the consumption, oil consumption pattern. There is a decline in the coal consumption pattern, right? So oil and coal consumption, if you see, there is a decline. And on other side, if you see, on other side, there is a rise of renewable energy at the bottom, right? And there are certain figures which I have mentioned over here, 2 million per barrel per day and 54 billion cubic meter. That is what we talk in terms of oil and gas. So this is a beautiful picture which has been shown over here, where while comparing all those things and total energy consumption in joules, exajoules or something like that, which we have presented over here, and how the consumption pattern now shifting. That is a beautiful picture we have to capture over here. So let me talk over here. The primary energy consumption growth slowed to 1.3% last year, less than half the rate of the growth in 2018. So figures, the graphics has already talked about it. The increase in energy consumption was driven by renewables and natural gas. Okay, so why we are shifting to renewables and natural gas? What is its impact on economics? What is its impact on environment? That we will talk later on. But there is a clear indication that the renewables are now taking a front driver seat in energy consumption pattern, primary energy consumption pattern. However, if you see in quantum, there is a miles to travel, right? In comparison to oil and coal, but there are trends which are very visible. Now, one important aspect which I have presented over here is, by country, China was by far the biggest driver of energy and accounting for more than 3/4 of net global growth. Now, if you see, we are all struggling, means last year or the before that, we were all struggling into the COVID crisis. But if you see the pattern of energy consumptions of China, you will be wondered why it has happened like that, right? So India and Indonesia were the next largest contributors to growth, and the US and Germany posted the largest decline when talks about the primary energy consumption, right? So these are the some takeaways from the data which we have captured. Okay, now let's see the leading energy primary energy consumption in the world, and these are in exajoules. So China is there, US is there. We are also not far behind, but if you see in comparison to US and China, we are still very far from them, right? So of course we can talk about the India going to means the next signing sun for economy is India, or we will be the next biggest economy in future to come. So if we talk in that direction, then we have to see our primary energy consumption pattern. And the constraint is that we have to be developing ourselves in a sustainable manner. That means the role of natural gas or role of renewables is going to be very, very vital. And therefore, these short-term training programs where the consumption of oil, the petroleum derived oil is going down. So, and therefore, you have to talk about alternate fuels, which are plant based, which are renewable in nature. And therefore, the whole short term training program, I will say that it is very justifiable in today's context where we have to talk. So, I'm just supporting them with the overall energy consumption data. Of course, we'll talk all the primary energies, coal, oil, and gas in detail. But this is what it looked like. Yes, if we wanted to develop, if the India wanted to be a world power, then its primary energy consumption and the constitutions of primary energy consumption will be very, very when we wanted to move ahead in the direction of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay. Now let's see how this total energy consumption in India patterns, right? So we have taken that data from 1995 to 2019. Of course, there are other 2020 and 2021 data are also available, but this is how we have plotted. And now if you see in 1995, the green color was hardly visible. It was hardly visible. But after 2000, or I would say 2010, now we have seen a visible demarcation, or I would say visibility, when you talk about renewables, right? And in these renewables, of course, the alternate fuels will also be a part of that. And therefore, if you see the energy consumption pattern for India, still we are still more rely on coal, and we know that the coal availability, that is an issue, and therefore, and if you see the Indian coal quality, it is highly ash content, right? And if you see the power production part, we are more power producing in the western part of the India, and if you see the availability, coal is on the eastern part of the India, and our coal is highly ash content, right? So these are the aspects which we have to see when we are going to develop ourselves and when we are choosing our primary energy consumption. And therefore, a lot of coal is been imported from Indonesia or South Africa or from Australia also. And there are big players who have developed this network and supply chain, but that also come under scrutiny now, and there are drop in imports in this COVID period and all. So we suffered also due to this. Now, primary energy consumption in India has nearly tripled between 1995 to 2019, reaching to 34.06 exajoule. So as far as quantum is concerned, we have tripled our energy consumption. That means our development is very, very fast, because when you talk about energy consumption, our development is fast. But if you see the pattern of our energy consumption, it hardly change. It hardly change. Of course, what I have just emphasized on previous slide, right? On previous slide, I have just emphasized that we have now seen renewables into picture. But however, these renewables are, when you talk about the overall contribution, it is minimum, but of course that trend is very promising for all of us. But still, for India, coal continue to supply the most of the India's total energy consumption, followed by petroleum and other liquids. So we are still governed by coal, right? Having said that, are you all with me? Am I audible well? Okay. Okay, thank you. Now when I will touch upon the oil, let's touch upon the that aspect only. So petroleum and other liquids production and consumption in India. So let's say how we are consuming petroleum and how we are producing petroleum. And I would see that the gap between consumption and production is increasing year by year. India's crude oil import reached to 4.4 million barrel per day in 2019. More than 80% is been imported. And from where we are importing, it is also been visible over here, right? So you will see that the Middle East, means our whole oil consumption comes from the Middle East, right? Majority. And therefore, we are in a situation, because the Middle East situation has to be very, very, I would say, stable. And you will see that there are a lot of disruptions, and there are issues of stability in past also. And therefore, our consumption, oil import, these are all affected. And as I say that our development remains majorly depends on coal and oil. And therefore, we have to be very, very crucial when we, because we do not have that amount of oil available in India, right? So that we can produce them, right? To the need of our public. So when you talk about the population cartograph, we are having, means the second largest country in terms of population, and therefore our consumption, per capita consumption is means per capita, of course it is low compared to other, but we require that energy, primary energy source, and therefore our as it mentioned that 80% of our oil is imported, right? And therefore we are imported, I would say, economy, and we have to be very sensible about our foreign affairs and other things, so that our primary energy consumption needs are substituted well, and we intend, means our GDP, what we are focusing and what we are dreaming about, the 5 trillion economy, we are on that path, but we have to depend on others, and when we have to depend on others, then it is very sensitive issue for all of us, right? So this is the picture of petroleum and oil consumption for India, production and consumption for India. And I have also shown from where we are importing and what percentage of oil comes from where. That also, that picture has also been shown over here. Now, this is another aspect which I have presented over here is, now let us see that India's natural gas production and consumption. Again, year by year, that difference is going to increase in billion cubic feet, sir. So India was the world 4th largest LNG importer, importing about 1.2 tera cubic feet, 7% of the global trade. And if you see that Qatar, UAE, so there from there we are importing oils, right? So oil import is very high. Our gas import or LNG import is also a good amount, and we have to depend because our production and our consumptions they do not match. There is a difference, and therefore on oil and gas we are depending on others as far as our primary energy consumption is depends on, and that's why if you see the petrol price reached to 100. Now it has been slightly less, but because we have reduced certain uh, amount of that. Any issue, sir? Do you wanted to say anything? The person who has started this video. Okay. Now let's go ahead. This is our coal production and consumption in India. So we have talked about the oil, we have talked about the petroleum, this gas, and you can see that the coal also. Of course, as I said that we do have good amount of reserve as far as coal is concerned. Production and consumption pattern, if you see, there is a discrepancy left. There is a difference left. So India purchased 275 million short tons of coal from overseas, making the second largest coal importer after China, right? And from where we are importing? We are importing from Indonesia. We are importing from South Africa. We are importing from Australia and some other places. So that is what I'm saying. And why we are importing, there is another reason which I already talked about, quality of coal also, right? And when you do this proximate and ultimate analysis, you will know that what is this carbon percentage, what is volatile matter, what is the S content, which is inorganic part, which does not play any fuel value or calorific value. And therefore, approximately 40% waste we are traveling from these two waste, right? And the handling of ash is very, very critical, right? Of course, we have found out how we can handle ash also by utilizing them in building materials. But then also there is a huge amount of ash generation, right? And that we have to take care. So of course, our all production consumption is also different. Now, how this energy has been utilized, this primary energy is utilized. So I say that the primary energy and secondary energy, right? So primary energy, we all say that coal, oil, and gas, that has been there. Of course, renewables are also there. But this primary energy, apart from oil, we are not using oil for production of electricity, or hardly using oil. Diesel generators, hardly we have this as a, I would say, small amount of, but mainly our electricity has been developed through coal, right? So if you see that the how this electricity is generated, so over the years, so that phase we are able to see over here in this, and these colors show you we are generating our electricity mainly through coal, right? The natural gas, oil, nuclear. In the Manmohan Singh period, we are very much interested in developing our electricity majority from nuclear, but the nuclear becomes very sensitive area, right? The societal acceptance is very much required because it results into radiation and other things. And again, the nuclear fuel, and if you see the world as a whole, uh, to use nuclear energy for the benefits of mankind, it is required, right? Because a small amount of nuclear fuel can generate large amount of security, which is the governed by United Nations, right? So on the death circumstance, and again, we do not have a good amount of this enriched form of, and therefore our generation of electricity from nuclear is also limited. And therefore, if you see the solar and wind lately, and biomass and waste, that is how this alternate fuel comes into the picture. So that has now taken place when we talk about the development of electricity. So these three aspects of energy, economics, and environment, I am following since long. So there was a presentation which I have given. I have given that Mission 2012 Power for All. At that point of time, I have given. But that was the objective with which the government had started. Right now, that Mission 2012, that has now translated to Vision 2022. Modi has promised 24/7 power supply to every household in India. So that is our national goal, to provide reliable, affordable, and quality power to all by 2012. At that point of time, it was decided, but now we are, you can see in the, of course, now we are having a good amount of electricity, and we are able to electrify almost all villages, right? So that is the goal with which, but 2020-22, it will be fulfilled. So if you see the electricity consumption, uh, today, means this, as I said, that in 2020, 3.74 lakh megawatt we are generating. So you have to just understand the values, or I would say datas. So when this was suggested in 2002, when it was suggested, okay, by 2012 we should have a power for all, we were developing only 1 lakh megawatt power. In 2012, we are willing to double our power capacity. That means from 1 lakh to 2 lakh. In 5 years, one more 1 lakh megawatt was added. And in 2020, 3.74 megawatt lakh are we are developing. So if you see the development of electricity from this primary energy source is tremendous. As I say, it is exponential in nature, that you can see over here, right? So if you see that the plan-wise growth of electricity sector in India, and we have this plan, 5 years plan and something like that, and we are developing our electricity with the help of primary energy consumption. And if you see our pattern, our main pattern for developing electricity is through coal, right? Now let's see how it has been distributed, this whole energy consumption. So India installed capacity, this data on power station is, uh, it is almost 3.75 lakh megawatt on 2020, right? If you see the previous part, that means when we are developing around 1.6 lakh megawatt, it was mainly the electricity was mainly a I would say the state affair. So if you see the 50% of the electricity was developed by states, 32% was developed by central, and only 19% was developed by private sector. Now there is a shift from then and now. If you see that the state sector, the contribution has reduced. Central sector, of course, equal, similar to the state sector. But if you see the private sector has come up in big way when you talk about electricity. And that is because we are moving. A lot of power plants were also been, you have I would say the ultra mega power plant, and this super critical boiler technology has been started, and that is how this private sector has come up. And industry, of course, they develop captive power plants and all, and that is why this whole change has come up from states um, dominating to now state and central are means contributing equally, and similar contributions we are seeing from private sector also. And I think the way the rooftop systems are coming up, the way the renewables are coming up, I think the each household becomes the power electricity generator. So all the household becomes the uh, electricity generating unit. That is how the things are moving, right? So that is a beautiful story which is going to be unfolded in future. So sector-wise growth of generation in capacity. So what we have presented there, the similar thing which we can show over here, and that is why I am saying that if you see the yellow line, it is crossing to this the blue and red line, because now it is going to play a dominant role when you talk about the, and there are regulation reforms also. There are regulation reforms also, and because of which it has been possible now to develop electricity on an accelerated level. Having said that, now this is the distribution of the installed capacity. So if you see that our majority then also, let's say 64% was thermal around 2002 and 2012, and now if you see that that has been reduced to 52% because the renewable energy consumption development has now increased, and that is 24%, which is what, which was very less at that point of time, right? So we have now doubled our renewable energy capacity, right? So this is the beautiful slide which we have to observe for the future also. Now, if you see the thermal was dominating by coal, and it is still dominated by coal. And it is going to be, when you talk about thermal energy, we are going to develop our electricity. Therefore, it is going to be playing a vital role, right? Now let's talk about the renewables and the interest of bio, which has been part of this short-term training program. If you see that the renewables play a vital role. Now, initially the wind has taken a space for, I would say, team leader when you talk about renewables. But now you see that the solar is now coming up in big way, and Small hydro, of course, it is limited in use, but bioenergy is also going to be taking a leading role, and which has been shown over here. So alternate fuels, fuels from bioenergy, it is going to be a major key areas when you talk about renewables. Okay, so that is what. So this is in terms of, I would say, the breakup which has been given. So you can see the 90,000 megawatt electricity generation is through this part of the way also, right? And this bioenergy is going to play a vital role as a primary energy consumption in the, I would say, transportation also. So renewable targets, and we all know that 175 gigawatt by 2020-22. So where who is going to lead this world, or I would say the mission? So the solar is going to lead, then wind, then small hydro, and biomass is also going to lead in this. So that is how the contribution of when you talk about renewables in nature, right? So these are all stats which gives us the direction that how we are shaping up for the future when we talk about the vision of Atmanirbhar, right? Hello. So are you all with me? And I think the on a statistical part of energy, I think we have gone well. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Uh, uh, Now we'll move to the another aspect. If you have any question, you can put it in the chat box, and then we'll see it in the later stage after completing the presentation. So the energy part and role of energy part that I have taken in detail, right? Now I'll move to the uh, another aspect, which is economics and environment. I've shown more on graphs only just to make you understand. Okay, this is how the stats move, and these are available openly. As I said, that my source of information is from every year's British Petroleum data, and my source of information is from this Sustainable Development Goals, which has been published by every year by Government of India, and they are also ranking each states also on 17 different goals, and we have taken only 3 goals for discussion today. Okay. So this is how Indian economy is moving, and we have seen the decline in GDP because of the COVID. So India share 3.3% of world economy and 17% of the world population. And that is the disparity which I was talking about. And of course, though we are uh, say, means contributing 3.3 in world economy, but we have set our target to 5 trillion economy, and that is what our vision is. But when you are developing the another aspect, which is also emission of greenhouse gases, because we have to talk in perspective of the economics also, but the environment is also important. And if you see that compared to world economy, the contribution to CO2, world contribution to CO2, if you see that we are when you talk about the emission, we are not the major emitter of CO2. However, however, it does not become a local issue now. The CO2 emission is not a local issue. It is a global issue. It is a global issue because the average temperature of the atmosphere is changing, and once the average atmosphere temperature of atmosphere is changing, it is going to change a drastic climate, right? And therefore the whole name, the Kyoto Protocol, we are we have witnessed this global climate change and its impact means all over the world. People are witnessing this: the high flood system, the cyclones. uh, these are the effect of global climate change, and that's why world has to be very serious. And just to make you an understand, I'll have a what is this, because whatever the energy we are consuming it, we all know that the law of energy conservation, energy cannot be destroyed, right? It cannot neither be created nor destroyed. So let's say our primary source of energy is sun, and we have an atmosphere around us. So once the energy from sun comes inside the earth atmosphere, then this, because of the greenhouse gases, this energy remains inside the earth atmosphere, because that greenhouse gas layer become opaque to the re-radiation, and therefore whatever the re-radiation, long wave radiation occurs from the earth's surface, that is not that radiation is not able to go out of the earth atmosphere. That means whatever the energy comes from the sun, once it is comes inside the atmosphere, it is trapped. It is trapped, and that is what we call as greenhouse effect. And this is very similar to the let's say car which is parked in the open on a summer day. Once you enter into the car, you will see that it is very hot inside, right? Why? Because all the energy which is come from the radiation trapped by the glasses on the car. So that a similar effect does by the greenhouse gases on the earth. So this is the how the trapping of gases occurs because of these greenhouse gases. The atmosphere trapping of infrared radiation is the greenhouse effect which makes the earth habitable. This is a boon, I would say, and I will justify that boon by my next slide. So earth atmosphere admits the visible rays from the sun, but that traps the infrared radiation. Without the natural greenhouse gas effect, the existence of life on this planet would not be possible. So I would say the greenhouse effect is a boon for us. Vardhan Chapadamat, it is like that. But the concern about the greenhouse effect is that it may become too much of a good thing if heat trapping efficiency of the atmosphere increases further as a result of increasing concentration of CO2 and other greenhouse gases. And this could result in an increase in mean global temperature as well as changes in the precipitation pattern. And that is what we have already started observing it. And it becomes more frequent now. So just to give you an highlight, just to give you an highlight, there is a thin atmospheric layer, right, in the Mars, right? Almost all CO2 is grounded. So if you see that the average atmospheric temperature is -50. On other side, let's say Venus, a thick atmosphere containing 96% of the CO2, average temperature is 420. If you see the Earth, 0.03% of the CO2 is in atmosphere and average temperature is +15. So if you see the planet in total, Earth is a habitable place. We can see a blue Earth from the space because there is a CO2 in the atmosphere. And that's why people say that Earth is a habitable place. Not, of course, people are trying on doing research, Mars and Venus, but the temperature is not conducive for human to live there or habitate there. And therefore, because of this greenhouse effect, we are living on a habitable planet. But because of our own activity, and we have changed the concentration of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, I'll just show you that what are the changes which are going to happen. So if you see the CO2 concentration, you see the global temperature, and you see the sea level. All three are in same phase, I would say. As the CO2 concentration changes, so as the global temperature and so as the sea. So the hypothesis is proved over here that it is the effect of greenhouse gas effect which changes the global climate, which changes the sea level, and which changes the global temperature. So warming of the climate is definitely occurring and can be observed by the increasing in global sea and air temperature, widespread melting of snow and ice, and rising global sea. So this is all the spectrum which we talked about, right? So global temperature and carbon dioxide, right? So that is also phase in phase. So on one side, you will see that there is a rise in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and there is another you will see that there is a on an average 1.5 degree temperature rise has happened, right? And because of this rise in temperature, it is going to be doing disaster in coming future if we are not going to curb the emission. And to curbing this emission, a lot of emission takes place from the vehicular transportations also. A lot of emission is being taken place due to the power production, electricity. And therefore we have to find out ways, and therefore this short-term training program, alternate fuels, is very, very important, because we have to find out ways by which we can minimize the emission part. So I have started the sustainable development. Why sustainable development? Because if you want this earth to be a habitable place, if you do not want this global climate to change drastically, and there will be a problem for our next generation, then we have to curb our I would say habit of using fuels the way we are using the fuel. And we have to find out ways. And that is why the research is very, very, that is why our role comes. Can we do research in the areas where we make the earth still a habitable place? We can make the reduction in the global emissions, right? Can we do that? Can we bring out technology which are very much environment friendly, which is very much sustainable in nature? And that is why the whole aspect of alternate fuel has to be looked into, right? Now I'll just give you a glance of average temperature over the years, how it has changed, right? How it has changed, right? So if you see the temperature change data up to till what time we have a presentation?
Sir, 3 o'clock, up to 3 o'clock.
Up to 3 o'clock. And how much time we'll give to question and answer?
Sir, last half hour you can take as a question answer.
Okay. So that's because I am on 40th slide and I have 73 slides, right? So that way I should pace my presentation, right? Okay. So I'll talk for half an hour more, and then we'll have a question and answer. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I was talking on the temperature pattern and carbon dioxide. There were arguments also, and if you see, beautiful movies were also been made, and where the previous US presidents were also featured in that. I forget the name of the movie, but a beautiful movie has been made on this, which exactly depicts how this carbon dioxide or greenhouse gas is going to uh, ruin the world, right? In terms of global climate change, and therefore we have to curb this uh, emission pattern. So just to give you an highlight, I have given this template where you will see that the temperature means when you have blue color, that means we'll just understand with the color graphics. Of course, we are engineers and other we can understand for terms of data also. But just to give you a visual impact, I have shown you a data which is average temperature change data. So the dates are also been mentioned over here. So first I'll show you how year by year, means this is every 5 years data which we have captured over here. So every 5 years data, and in every 5 year, how this temperature pattern has changed over the globe, that we are going to see. So if I'll change to the next slide, of course, we can hardly see any temperatures are in temperatures are in control. Okay. Still, temperatures are in control. Some bits and pieces where you see more of a yellow now. Still, am I audible? In between some.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Audible.
So there is no major change, but slight yellows has now started appearing. But now, if you will see a from 1926 to 1930, lot of yellow, and now we are moving into the orange and red zones. And obvious effect, I would say, obvious effect of greenhouse has now started observing. We have started observing it, and if you see, and it becomes very prudent and prominent after 2000, right? And in last 2 decades, if you see that we have, let's say, the change in temperature, if you can see that 0 in the center and 2 on the highest level of red. So we have crossed 1 and 1.5, 1.8 in that direction. It is moving. And when you are going in that direction, it is very alarming for global climate. And if to make, means it, otherwise it is not going to be, the environment is not going to be sustainable. And if you see, if this continues, there is a lot of disasters is going to place every year, and it becomes very frequent. And India has recently observed a lot of cyclones and all, right, on the east coast and the west coast and other things in the south also. So if the pattern is going to be like this, then we have to be very much ready with the things which is not going to be in our hand then in future, right? So this is what it is going to happen. Now let's move slightly ahead. Energy and sustainable development, right? So stated policy scenario, a projection based on existing policy framework and announced policy interventions. So proportions of population with access to electricity, right? So if you see 2020, which year we have said that where we will be able to make power for all, 2022. So if you see that where the world average is there when you talk about the electricity to be reached and where India is there. So India almost reaching to its target now, right? To make electricity accessible to all. The proportion of population with access to electricity. So this is what scenario is there, right? And these are projections. Huh? So I have taken that figure from the graph of SDGs, right? So you will see that we are able to reach them as we have targeted. Of course, we are 10 years left. Means it was decided power for all in 2012, and after a decade, we are going to reach to that area. Of course, but it is nevertheless means we are approaching them. It is good part for India, right? Now there is something which we wanted to relate to the energy efficiency here. So energy intensity in India defined as the ratio of primary energy supply to gross domestic production. So how energy in economics are defined. So stood at 0.09 TOE US dollar thousand in 2017, well below the world average of 0.107 TOE for USM. So as far as energy intensity is concerned, right, we are well below this. So energy intensity, of course, we can understand because our population is of that nature. But if we are going to develop in that way, we are good as far as this is concerned. So to total primary energy supply and the stated policy scenario and projections are being shown over here. So how we are going to progress, because energy, primary energy consumption is a key ingredient, I would say, aspect when you talk about the uh, whole economy or gross domestic product of our, right? Now the another aspect, if you see, and recently yeah, I have noticed in paper that the Ahmedabad air is more dangerous than Delhi. People, some paper has quoted that. So when you talk about, and if you see the Delhi, even the Supreme Court and High Court has taken a suo moto uh, in winters or in the Novembers, let's say Delhi becomes standstill. So when you talk about, if you see this graph, WHO guidelines, it has been put it over here, right? If you see that average annual outdoor particulate matter 2.5 concentration in selected urban areas. So as many as 10 of the top 20 most polluted city in the world are located in northern and northern western India, exceeding World Health Organization recommendation average. So you see the New Delhi is there, Mumbai, Kolkata, right? All these places are there in uh, on this side Patna. So you will see that particulate matter means the quality of air is very. So why this has happened? Why this has happened? Again, you have to go to the my cartograms. Again, you have to go to my energy consumption patterns. How we are developed, because economy. If you wanted to drive economy, energy is going to be very key resources for one of the key ingredient to develop economy, right? And if economy is not going to develop, then what about the people? I would say lifestyle or how we are going to satisfy people's need, and therefore the economy and people needs and people facilitation is going to be clubbed together. And if these two are clubbed together, energy becomes a key ingredient. But when energy becomes key ingredient, how you produce this secondary form of energy is very crucial. The secondary form of energy, we are using conventional source, coal, oil, gas, right? And when you are using this conventional source, biomass, when you use these sources, then we have to see its effect on environment also. It affects on particular matter also. So one is the CO2 emission is one part. Another is a particulate matter. Particulate matter, because of these microns are present in the atmosphere, a lot of fogging and invisibility is generated. And we have already seen the Delhi on standstill, and a lot of toxic is also been generated because of the environment. On this particulate matter, some toxic gas also start condensing on it, and a lot of environmental issues comes on front. So this is what the picture shows. Yes, we wanted to move in 5 trillion economy. Our ways of energy consumption or the pattern of energy consumption is this. We have to curb our CO2, right? And we have to curb this particulate matter also. So under all this constraint we have to develop, and therefore we require, and why we are talking this, because if we are not doing is not going to be sustainable, right? That is the whole scenario which I am going to talk about. Now this is a figure CO2 intensity of India and other other economics or member of economy of IEA. So if you see that kg of CO2 per purchase price, PPP earlier, US dollar. So you will see that the high share of coal power makes India economic relatively carbon intensive. And that is what I'm going to stress over here. We have to require a strategy by which we can go out of carbon intensive economy to renewable economy, where our carbon footprints becomes very less, because the growth is going to be a mantra for people to live. Why people wanted to move to United States, why people wanted to go into Canada, why people wanted to move in Europe, because the level of growth, development, the comfort, so the lifestyle. So everybody is aspire. All Indian people are aspire, or the whole world is aspire to live that life, isn't it? But are we able to produce it? Because these countries have developed themselves where these constraints were not there. When India wanted to develop, then there are a lot of constraints, and in that constraint we have to find our ways. And that's why a lot of emphasis has been given on innovation. A lot of emphasis has been given on research, where the whole I just wanted to congratulate the coordinators, because they have chosen a right kind of topic, where it is a need of an hour, where we wanted to move from oil to alternate fuels, and on this, so that we are going away from carbon intensive economy, right? So that is what the thing which we have to talk in, so I would say thing in the mind. CO2 emission per capita in India and other members. So in per capita emissions, India makes significantly lower than the other countries, and 10 below the Australian. So if you see the emission per capita, okay, it is per capita, and when we understand per capita, it is to be denominator is about the capita itself. That means the person or the human population live in that particular country. So when you talk the emission, of course we are emitting, the CO2 emission is less as far as per capita is concerned, right? But now there are a lot of UN and WHO restrictions, right? So they said, means, there are standards or the values which has been given of a particular year, which we have to maintain when we wanted to develop ourselves, right? So that is what the whole aspect which has been given over here. Now I'll come to the sustainable development goals. And if you see this picture, this is 1920. This is the report which has been presented by Niti Aayog, and it is presented in different way: aspirant, performer, front runners, and achievers. And there are targets given. all the 17 goals were mapped and 100 points were given to all 17 goals, and how each states are performing, and based on that the numbers are given and they are normalized, and this based on these numbers this graph has been uh, uh, these graphs are being generated, and these are available on Sustainable Development website. Okay, so affordable and clean energy. If you see that front runners, Gujarat seems to be in front runners when you talk about the affordable and clean energy, because we have put lot of emphasis on wind, we have put lot of emphasis on solar, and how this policy drives sustainable development. That is what I wanted to project over here. Uh, and if you see in that cell, yes, we are in front runners, but these are every year. So we are comparing all the state on every year basis. So what, and there is a, I would say mean line which has been presented over here. So who are on the top and who are at the bottom, and therefore every state will have an opportunity to decide their policy, in which way we wanted to go ahead on all sustainable development. In here in the Gandhinagar, one statistical means Ankara Shastra, statistical department is looking after the datas on sustainable development, and lot of datas of AISHE. That portal is available to all of us, and we are all filling up. So the whole education data is also been fetched through AISHE, which is a very means our whatever our data we are filling up, it becomes very vital to project or to decide policy for all the states or our countries, so which is very vital to put correct data on AISHE also, right? So I think I'm now at the last slide. I'll just recap the everything. But the last slide, which I put it over here, which is very important. So I started with the one book which called Start with Why. So why is very important. So why we wanted to talk about alternate fuels? Why we have to talk about sustainable development? The purpose is very strong. If we are not going to talk about, then we will see that the earth is not going to be a sustainable, I would say. And therefore a beautiful quote, because I started with Narendra Modi's quote, and now I wanted to end my discussion with the uh, father of nations, Mahatma Gandhi's quote: "The rich must live more simply so that the poor may simply live." So that is the quote with which I wanted to end presentation. Having said that, I'll just add one more line also. कि ढूंढोगे अगर तो ही रास्ते मिलेंगे, ढूंढोगे अगर तो ही रास्ते मिलेंगे, मंजिलों की फितरत है खुद चलकर नहीं आती. I think it is not a local issue. It is not a local issue. What we are doing it. It is not the issue of India. It is the global issue. These whole alternate fuels, the whole regimes of renewables which we are talking today, it is for mankind, because if we are going to do or as there are countries which has done their development abruptly, and that's why the Mahatma Gandhi's quote is very relevant. The rich must live more simply so that the poor may simply live. So that is the whole aspect of sustainable development or spectrum of sustainable development which we talked about. And I have only taken 3-4 aspects, I would say 3 aspects to sum up my idea of role of energy in sustainable development. And I have presented data from I would say British Petroleum, which does this every year. And if you can, being a teacher also, if you, those who are involved in teaching subjects on energy or thermal energy or power plant, if we can follow those guidelines, it gives us how the world is moving and how this policy data or policy restructure the whole pattern of energy consumption. And it also gives us the idea how future will come. And being a student of thermodynamics, we all understand that what is thermal that, because the we understood the energy, we understood the entropy, we understood the exergy also. There are three E's: energy, entropy, and exergy. So that means the whatever the energy which is available for with us, we are converting them into a useful form. And when we are converting them to the useful form, eh, so that we talk about the exergy. When we are converting that to the useful form, there are some of the energy which we are not able to convert them. That are we are not able to. Simply we have to reject them because they are governed by the laws of thermodynamics. That is second law of thermodynamics, right? And therefore, we have to see that whatever the high grade energy we are having, we have to use it very judicially. And whatever the, because this high grade energy, this electricity which we are consuming, right? We are consuming, this has been converted from the primary energy source, and therefore, when we are utilizing that, lot of footprint has been created on environment when you use this on a converter, or I would just say the secondary form of energy. So I just wanted to narrate. I'll go back to my uh, home slide first, and then I'll just summarize what I will talk today, and then I think I'll take few questions on it. And we all are learners, and we are developing ourselves on this aspect. I have touched upon. I don't know how many topics you have studied on alternate fuels and the other technology, but though the organizers have asked me to take this topic on initial sessions, right? But because of my own engagement, I could not start, because this is very fundamental. I would say my presentation becomes very, I would say, fundamental on energy. So if I would have taken on the initial part, then it may have shape up the whole short-term training. So I apologize, I have not been able to take it on initial part, but nevertheless, I have tried what I thought about to present. Some statistic aspect and some aspects with pictures in mind. I have not talked more on the content, or I have given you some research outcome, but some aspect which I have tried to cover here. Uh, Sorry. So in my presentation today, I have defined what is sustainability, and then in order and why we require to talk about sustainability, that I have talked about. Uh, how this has come, because a beautiful book was written, and in that narration of UN, the word sustainable has come, and it is because of the disparity of, I would say, the society, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, countries in the northern hemisphere and countries in the southern hemisphere. And I have shown a lot of cartographs just to make you understand, yes, there is an impact of all those things. And now, based on that, we have understand the all primary energy, what is its consumption pattern all over the world. I have not restricted only to India, but of course, data of India were also being presented. Then, what is the impact of this energy? Because it is one of the key parameter for economics. So I have talked about the perspective of energy with the economics also, right? And when you do this energy economics combination, ultimately the whole effect will go to environment also. And why we have to talk about environment? Because the topic which we have decided is sustainable development. Whatever the human activity done on this mother earth, it should be sustainable. We wanted to see that our future generation will have a better life, of course, but that's why we have to move in that direction. So the whole aspect of energy, economics, and environment were covered. And lastly, those who are willing to follow sustainable development goals, which being published by NITI Aayog, Government of India every year, you can just go and see how different states are taking measures to have all 17 sustainable development goals. And for engineering perspective, of course, being in a education institute, most of us, we can also go to the education part also, where gross enrollment ratio, which has been taken into new education policy, that is another aspect. There also you can see, but on a theme of the sort faculty development program under this, you can always go to this energy economics and environment. A beautiful pictures has been generated in sustainable development goal, which can give you a statistical edge to understand, yes, this is how the policy framework can be developed, and this is how we have to move in that direction. So in the nutshell, why, as I said that I started with Simon Sinek, why is very important. If purpose is strong, how and what are very easy. And therefore, I have put more emphasis on purpose of my presentation, so that how and what are very easy. And there are a lot of opportunities for people to work in the direction, because the background is been, the motivation and background has been generated well because of the sustainable development. So this is my last word for today's presentation. Now I'll welcome participant to have any questions. So thank you very much, and I'll thank the organizers to invite me on this beautiful FDP to share my informations and knowledge, which is I feel proud and privileged for that. Thank you very much.